Because we have to understand, guys, the difference between government and party. Right now, I'm part of the NDC party. When we win, we will form the government. When we become the government, guys, we have to represent everyone, not just NDCites, but NMPites also. We have to be fair across the board. We should not show any favoritism. We should be a government for the man who didn't vote also. A government should be a government for all and not for some. And we have to distinguish the difference between government and party. Now, when a government do a road, right? Or when a government hires Imanis. I'm just drawing two examples. When we pay for that road, we are using your taxpayers' money to pay for the road. When you pay duties on the port, when you pay VAT, when you pay taxes in general, these money come to us in government, and now we are responsible to spend that money on you. So I want you to be clear. When as a government we do a road or we hire Imani or so, this is not a favor that we are doing. We are using your taxpayers' money to fund these projects and to pay these salaries. So I want you to be clear on that, guys, very clear on that. And we are supposed to do that as a government. This is our duty as a government. And I want you to know the difference between government and party and what is expected of your government when they are in power, guys, right? So please, don't let anyone fool you with the look at what I'm doing. We are supposed to do that. These are the taxpayers' money that we are using every single day when we do stuff, right? And it should be
we need to know one another. They have senior members and junior members and those who just joined. We need to know that all of us belongs to the National Democratic Congress. So we can't just argue and fight for what I will get, what I will get, what I will get, when you don't know your people. So sometimes the reason the other side getting is because we're not saying who are the real NDC people who need to get, because we don't know one another enough. So if we are telling the MP or the caretaker, these are our people, and let's go see them or bring the people, then we will know each other better.
Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. Grab your popcorn, grab your Coke, grab your wine, whatever you're drinking, whatever you're eating. Grab the kids, call your nenen, your auntie, your mommy, your daddy, brothers, sisters. Call everybody and let them know that Simon Says is on. We'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode. Welcome back. Welcome back. As usual, we'll have a little update and some current affairs, and then we'll get into the meat of the matter, right? So we have CBI update, and according to public data from the Ministry of Finance and the Investment Migration Agency, aka CBI, from July 2022 to March 2025, a total of 11,583 new citizens were approved through the CBI program. while from 2014 to June 2022, the number of approved was 7,472. Therefore, this means that since the program commenced in 2014, the total number of citizens is 19,055 new citizens of Grenada. 19,000. This is almost the equivalent of the combined population of St. John, St. Mark, and St. Patrick using the 2021 census population count. And this little piece here is compliments Miss Linda Straker. Thank you, Linda, for the update. Thank you for the update. Guys, this is some serious stuff right there. Some really, really serious stuff there. There have to be a reason. Keep your eyes open, check your list, and keep your eyes open. And in the meantime, get your folks registered, your friends, your family. Get registered. Everybody for the elections, no matter who you support, once you're eligible, please get registered. In other CBI news, it continues to show that anything goes with the Deacon Mitchell-led administration. An administration where corruption, corrupt individuals, and corrupt practices has become the norm, overlooked, and life continued. Same way, same how. Let's just move on. What they say, it's going to take 8 days. In some cases, I guess less, right? 5 days, 3 days, depending on the topic. And then we move on to the next topic. They have another thing coming when it comes to Simon Says. There are some topics we are sticking on, like the bribery. We are sticking on that one. Like the lotto corruption, we stick in there too. Like the MIT corruption, we stick in there too. We ain't going nowhere. I mean, we go add the others. Because I want you all to get ready for next week. Next week, I'm coming with a big corruption that takes place in the constituency of St. David, involving members of the constituency and the Prime Minister. And the way members, public workers from the Ministry of Infrastructure are being treated when they want to go by the books. So prepare for that one. That's a big one. To put it together and get it right for you guys next week. Now, part of the process in the Grenada citizenship by investment scandal involving Colin Bishop is the suspension of Reef View Enterprises as a local agent under the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Program. Now, what the article described as a troubling pattern involved a company called Crown Capital Grenada Inc. and its managing director, Mr. Kendall Alexander, advisor of economic development and planning to the Deacon Mitchell-led administration at the Ministry of Economic Planning, Tourism, ICT, and Creative Economy. Now, let me share with you what the article had to say about Mr. Kendall Alexander. Windy today, windy today. You have to hold it down. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing because you know we always press for time. We have overload for you today. So let me see if I can just pick up from here. In addition to installment payments, it has also emerged that Bishop solicited and accepted substantial lobbying fees from individuals whose applications have been formally declined by the Citizenship by Investment Program Review Board. So the board declined these people. Victims alleged that Bishop promised to leverage his contacts with the CIU and the government circles close and directly with the Prime Minister, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, to reverse board decision and secure approvals, claims which legal experts have dismissed as both unethical and procedurally impossible under the program's regulations. Coming to Mr. Alexander now, we're moving on. The controversy deepened further on the 28th of May, 2025. Mr. Bishop reportedly began sending unsolicited emails to Grenadian nationals who obtained their citizenship through the CBI program on behalf of a company called Crown Capital Grenada Inc. He claimed the company to be a trusted local firm specializing in supporting CBI clients with a range of post-citizenship services. These services were said to include investment advisory, business setup, assistance, and document compliance support. However, upon investigation, Crown Capital Grenada Limited was found to hold no citizenship marketing investment advisory or local agency license in Grenada, no public records, active business operations, or official website for company could be located. These unsolicited emails quickly drew complaints from several CBI nationals who, wishing to remain anonymous, expressed concerns of approved marketing agents and regulatory officials about privacy violations and the unauthorized use of their personal information. This troubling pattern continued the 29th of May 2025 when direct communications was sent to clients from Crown Capital Grenada Inc. and its managing director, Mr. Kendall Alexander. Notably, Mr. Alexander also serves as advisor of economic development and planning to the Deacon Mitchell-led administration at the Ministry of Economic Planning, Tourism, ICT, and Creative Economy. The communication raised further alarm as it impersonated the Grenada Inland Revenue Department in an apparent attempt to solicit funds from clients under false pretense. And here we are speaking of the Crown Capital Grenada Inc., where Mr. Kendall Alexander is the managing director of this company. And this company, it's been said here, the communication raised further alarm as it impersonates the Grenada Inland Revenue Department in an apparent attempt to solicit funds from clients under false pretense, right? Let me read this down here, skip a few paragraphs. These breaches of privacy and data protection laws are being taken very seriously by affected clients, many of whom are now in contact with legal authorities and considering joining a class action lawsuit against Reef View Enterprises, Colin Bishop, and Crown Capital Grenada Inc., Kendall Alexander, in his individual capacity. Now, we have here this, and this is the gentleman who is advisor to the government of Grenada in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development, right? Now, through all this, Mr. Kendall Alexander remains advisor to our government, and to add insult to injury, just this past week, he accompanied the Minister of Economic Development representing Grenada at the 55th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB. So now, it's okay to be corrupt and represent the country. And that is why Minister Andy was saying, leave him alone, basically. Let him continue to be corrupt, because we want to, so that the young people who wants to come join politics wouldn't fear someone like me who is exposing the corruption of the politicians. Leave us alone. Don't say anything. It's okay to be corrupt and to be representing the government and people of Grenada. So Mr. Alexander, and they're posing and taking out photos. Lennox Andrew is Grenada's governor on the CDB board, and Kendall Alexander is alternate governor, authorized, and so said by the minister himself, authorized to make decision on the behalf of Minister Andrew at the meetings. The meeting commenced in Brasilia, Brazil, on the 9th of June and concluded on the 12th of June, 2025. If you look on your screen, you see photos of the minister and Minister Andrew and Mr. Kendall Alexander, all posing. Folks, this here, I mean, we have to speak about it. More of you supposed to be speaking out on this thing. We have a fully loaded corrupt administration. Fully loaded. Wholesale. We get in the corruption. And some of you are out there defending it. Others are there whispering behind doors. Say, it must be true. It must be true how they ain't suing it. Speak up. Call on the administration to investigate and get independent bodies to do so. We'll continue that a little later when we get to the meat of the matter. In other news, TAMCC have been encountering many issues where even the students protested outside classrooms some months ago. Free tuition, no labs. Right? I guess it's one or the other. Today, in the evening news, complaints about the cosmetology students of TAMCC complaints.
Students of the 2024 Cosmetology program, facilitated by the Renew Beauty and Life Skills Institute in partnership with the T.A. Marshall Community College, are expressing frustration over an extended delay in receiving their certificates, more than 8 months after completing their training. The graduates who completed the program in October of 2024 say they have not received their Caribbean Vocational Qualification (CVQ) certificates, nor have they been issued a certificate of completion from the Renew Institute. They also report a lack of communication and clear guidance regarding their final assessments. Some of the affected students who chose to remain anonymous due to fear of victimization shared how the situation has negatively impacted their professional aspirations.
So we were promised proper training, a CVQ assessment and certification that we will use to further our careers and continue other studies. It's been 8 months since we graduated and we still haven't been assessed. We also didn't get any certificate from the institute itself, like not even something basic to say we completed the course. When I reached out to the instructor, she said things like if students want certificates, they should message me. But that's not something we should have to request.
And frustrated because it's been going on for so long, and whilst I was doing the course, I had brought it to a few teachers' awareness that what's going on isn't right. I pay my money, I'm waiting to learn this and the other, and they just kind of brushed it to the side, and I think it's unacceptable.
We saw free tuition, so we're thinking, okay, well, cosmetology is free and all this stuff, but we see free tuition. They didn't explain anything on the flyers or anything like that, this program has this amount of payment and whatnot. It was just free tuition and the courses were there. So pretty much everybody thought that it was a free course. Then when we got there and we were registering with our advisors, I guess, the lady was like, didn't you know that the course is she was like, didn't you know that the course is $3,000 or something like that?
Graduates say they've made repeated efforts to get answers from the program coordinator, but their concerns remain unaddressed. Several students expressed disappointment and anger over what they describe as poor management and communication by those overseeing the program.
A student even reached out to the dean of our department and was asking about the assessment and stuff like that. And the dean told her that she had to lie to the ministry and tell them that our CVQ was included in our tuition just because it was too expensive. So we spent extra money thinking that we were getting properly certified, which was not true.
According to the group, this issue is not new. They claim students from as far back as 3 years ago are still waiting on their CVQ certificates and other official documentation. They insist that a certificate is a reflection of their effort and successful completion of the program. Efforts have been made to contact tutors of the program. However, all efforts have proven futile. Reporting for the MTV Evening News, I am Wendy Edmond.
Compliments MTV. Now, there are a lot of questions there. Are the tutors qualified to facilitate cosmetology course to start with? I understand from colleagues of mine that have been working, some of them in the industry for as much as 40 years and doesn't have a certificate. And now that they want to milk some money from them, they said they must have a certificate and they have to be certified and they have to show. Now, I understand from them that they're being taught by a nurse and not cosmetologist. I'm getting calls all the way from New York. What's going on in Grenada? Why is there a nurse teaching the cosmetologists or hairdressers cosmetology? And they don't know what they're doing, right? So that's one. That's besides this stamp CC thing, right? I mean, it is trickery. It is deception right through. Imagine they're being told to lie. Imagine we were told, the nation were told time and time again from the parliament, in every forum, free tuition, TAMCC, free tuition, the most amount of registration, which is a lie, and I told you guys that. The evidence shows that there was no increase in registration, right? And that there are more dropouts than ever before because they can't pay the transportation to get, and some of them, they don't have clothing, they don't have food to get to school. But then again, no planning, no proper planning, no proper structure, right? So these students who believe that they were signing up for free tuition for a cosmetology course was told they had to pay $3,000 on arrival, plus whatever it costs to get their CVQ, which is not forthcoming. I'll follow the story and I'll let you know. No, you know, I probably shouldn't be speaking about it because they'll say, "Oh, I'm a cosmetologist," and I am not practicing cosmetology again, really. So that's okay. But I know I'm qualified to teach it. If you go around the town, you'd see the girls who are doing well, who are doing the best out there, all have a certificate from a cut above School of Cosmetology. And I'm proud of that. And I trained young ladies for the government of Grenada during the period of 2007 to 2008. Yeah, for the new National Party administration. And when my government, my party that I supported came into office, I did not get not one girl to train from them. They love people, people first, putting people first. I don't even think they did a course. They had me do a chat with some people and it never materialized into anything. The G rep or C rep or whatever rep they called it then, upside it down, upside it down. So while students are complaining, so are the lecturers. In a letter dated the 16th June 2025, addressed to Dr. Wendy Grenade, chairperson of the TAMCC Council. It reads, 16 June 2025, Dr. Wendy Grenade, Chairman TAMCC Council, Tantine St. George. Dear Chairman, outstanding 5% salary increase for 2025 and 2024 increments. Demand for immediate resolution. The TAMCC Lecturers Association, TLA, writes once again to express our profound disappointment with the continued failure of the TAMCC management to address the outstanding 5% salary increase for 2025 and 2024 increments, as rightfully obtained for our members through our bargaining agent, the Grenada Union of Teachers, GUT. You all know why I'm laughing. In our previous correspondence, we formally requested a clear payment date or a structured payment plan with the expectation that this information would be communicated to the TLA within 7 working days. That deadline has long expired, yet the TLA has received no official response to our commitment for the college. From the TLA's perspective, this silence confirms TAMCC's unwillingness to honor its obligation to its lecturers. It is unacceptable that our members who have dedicated themselves to the college mission continue to suffer financial strain due to the devaluation of delayed payments and the college's blatant disregard for agreed upon terms. Furthermore, the TLA effective is deeply concerned that the TAMCC Council and its management team are not committed to maintaining a healthy, respectful working environment. Lecturers have endured years of unmet promises, yet we continue to fulfill our duties, often exceeding expectations to meet the college's demand. Unfortunately, this relationship is entirely one-sided, as TAMCC repeatedly fails to uphold its commitments to its employees. Given the college's continued inaction, the TLA has no choice but to escalate this matter. We will now seek the full intervention of the GUT, if they could find Jude, right? To ensure that the members receive their rightful 5% increase without further delay. Additionally, the TLA will be compelled to consider all available options to secure fair treatment for our lecturers. Should TAMCC persist in its neglect, we strongly urge the college to respond within 3 days, 3 working days that is, with a concrete resolution. Failure to do so will leave the TLA with no alternative but to proceed with further actions to protect the rights and welfare of our members. We await your immediate response, and it's signed by Imran Loha, the president of TAMCC Lecturers Association, and it's copied to the Grenada Union of Teachers and the principal, Mr. Andrew Abraham, and to TAMCC lecturers. Where is Jude? Where is teacher Jude, who stood at the gates of the ministerial complex protesting and fighting for these same TAMCC workers' rights when it was the NNP in office? Where is teacher Jude today? Now, an update on the Integrity Commission. On Friday, the 13th June 2025, late in the afternoon, almost evening, 3 letters was hand-delivered to me at home, my complaints against Ms. Andrea St. Bernard, chairperson of the Grenada Development Bank, Mr. Andy Williams, Minister of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation, and Ms. Nicole Clark, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transportation. The letters basically stated the same thing, a little variation, that my complaint form submitted was incomplete and asked for supporting documents. I was disappointed that the commission did not find it necessary to call on me and ask for whatever information they needed and whatever else they needed for me to finish off my complaint forms, but decided to write to me instead. Maybe it's because they were coming to the end of their tenure and didn't want to leave it hanging. Really, I find no fault with the commission, except that they did say to me that I can resubmit, and that I'll do. Now, you guys know me by no, that ain't no giving up when it comes to Jenny Simon and Simon Says. Ain't no giving up. So I prepared the previous complaints on my own, and so therefore I have sought legal help to do so this time around. So we'll be right back, right? Then on Monday, the 16th June 2025, the member for St. George Northeast and PRO of the NDC announced on the Ride Along talk show that as PRO of the NDC, and I'm quoting here, he had done his own investigation as public relations officer. He has been able to acquire all information that was submitted to the Integrity Commission, and we have concluded that there is no substantive evidence. No one would be able to come out and say that they have any evidence of the bribe. End of quote. He continued, quote, so that is totally false. We are treating it like that. We stand 100% behind the General Secretary, Mr. Andy Williams, and we are satisfied that our own internal investigation has concluded that this is not factual. Ron, the higher the monkey climb, the more it exposes its, you know what. Now, this guy is saying that whatever, remember, I complained to the Integrity Commission, right? And hoping that there'll be an investigation where certain documents would be asked for and then brought to the Integrity Commission, not to the general public, to the Integrity Commission. This guy is saying that there's nothing factual. What is he talking about? What did he get from the Integrity Commission that make him say that there's no facts? Two, I mean, they're trying also, and I expect Ron to go out on a limb to support Andy. They're all crooked and fraudulent MPs, corrupt to the bone. So I expect that, right? And they're tainted. So they have to fight for their survival. But ain't no stopping here. Ain't no stopping here. The host then asked for reiteration. And I'm quoting, you're saying that based on the evidence that you collected from the Integrity Commission and others, there are no credible proof to back that up. Big breaking news, you know. And the MP's answer was, and I quote, correct, correct. Today they're saying he never said he got the information from the Integrity Commission. Busted. So it's either he lied or he has compromised the commission. The first thing I'm going to say before anything else, with that information in Ron Redhead's position, right, that there is no substantive evidence, according to him, and that no one, and I'm quoting, would be able to come out and say that they have any evidence of bribe, end of quote. Well, game come. If you have it's substantive evidence, no one could say that there was a bribe. I mean, you have your facts now that says there was not a bribe. That is enough, more than enough, to take me to court. Let's go. Let's go. But while some of you galloping outside there and going on programs to defend Andy and saying there's no evidence, Andy saying, I ain't going to take you to court. I just want to concentrate on my work. Stay focused. Right? I'm not taking you to court because my constituents vote me in to serve them. So if you're crooked and you corrupt, you think your constituents, all of them, Samuel, would continue to support you because that's what they vote you in for. And that somebody is claiming that you took a bribe of $115,000 in exchange for a contract to Mr. Nelson Louison of CCCI. And all you have to say is stay focused. And while Ron and the others, Rodney George, and they're galloping, saying that you couldn't have, right? You still not concerned that I keep saying you have had taken the bribe. Well, I just know that since Mr. Redhead have information, that kind of information will come on now. That's a slam dunk case for you guys. Let's go. Slam dunk, let's go. If your name man, let's go. Let us go, right? As a matter of fact, I thought I would have received some sort of correspondence from some lawyer already, because now that you all know for sure, and he said for sure, and I'm quoting, that there is no factual evidence meaning on the bribe allegations. It's not factual, right? Now, this same Ron Redhead, in that same forum, y'all know I can't show you all the videos, and y'all know why, because they're going to prolong our episodes, because there's shame, and they know when I pull their clips, I expose all their lies. So that's okay, but I go read, I go transcribe and read, right? Now, as I said, this same Ron Redhead, in that same forum on Ride Along, said that the vehicle he stole and sold for $10,000 was given to him. On that program, he said it was given to him. Given to him, but he couldn't transfer the vehicle to the gentleman he sold it to. He sold it for $10,000. Now, I'll give you a little bit more on that vehicle. The vehicle was loaned to Ron Redhead for his campaign. The lady was kind enough to lend him the vehicle because he had no transport, he had no license, he couldn't drive, he had somebody driving him then. But immediately after the elections, he got his license. Wrongdoings. So after the elections, he offered to purchase a vehicle for his constituency. She said, okay, knowing that it cost her, the vehicle was valued at about $35,000. Being a good citizen and a supporter of the transformation, she said, give me $18,000. So he still had the vehicle in his possession. She's waiting for the transaction to take place. Only found out that a vehicle was sold when the person who purchased it was dodged by Ron and his advisor, Ian Django Thomas. And they looked in the glove, and he looked in the glove compartment and found the owner and called her, right? Told you that before. So when the story burst, it was a Sunday, I'll never forget it. I woke up to that. Somebody woke me up, listen, Ron stole a car and sold it. When I get the story, I was like, okay, that's it. He ought to go, right? So when the story burst and the Prime Minister got wind of it, he called the individual who owned the car. What am I hearing? Blah, 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 blah. Paraphrasing here. And she gave him the story. He then promised her that she would get her monies, 10,000 the next day, and the balance by the Wednesday of the same week. So that was a Monday to the Wednesday. Truth be told, Ron showed up, I think, with his buddy from Carriacou the Monday with $10,000 cash. And then Tuesday evening, in the dusk, he showed up with the balance, the 8,000. Remember, he sold it for 10,000. But he was given the 18,000 that she called. He was given that. So 10,000, and the Tuesday evening in the dark, he showed up with the balance, the 8,000. She sent them back. She said, I'm not collecting that kind of cash this hour in the night in the dark. Please come back tomorrow, which they did on the Wednesday with the balance of the money. After that, this same Ron Redhead, in that same forum, after he collided with the young boy on a bicycle and dragged him, explaining on that Ride Along program, and I'm quoting here, that there was a drain on the opposite side of the road. And if he had swung away from the young boy, the vehicle could have gone down in the deep drain. He spoke of it. So it was either he took the decision to go down in the drain, I'm quoting still, to go down in the drain and avoid everything altogether, And the threat was, if I took the decision, there was 2 young children, females, in fact, young girls, walking on that side of the road as well. So on the same side of the drain, he said there were 2 young girls walking on that side as well. Right? So I had gone down. So if I had gone down there and the vehicle would have danced and so on, that would have been a recipe for disaster. So he chose not to go down in the drain because his vehicle would have danced. So he hit the young guy on the bicycle right? Now, that van, he said, and I'm continue quoting here, that van could have flipped all kind of thing. And you know, all this time he watching the camera, he bend down like Tom Dooley. He could have flipped all kind of thing. You never could have tell what could have happened. Right? End of quote. Now let's look at the clip of the accident. And folks, please look closely to the left side, your left side, for the 2 young ladies walking on the side of the road. Did you see 2 young ladies walking the side of the road? I'm looking. I looked. I replayed. I looked. Where are the 2 young girls that was walking on the side of the road? Have any of you seen these 2 young ladies walking on the left side of the road where the drain was? Have you seen 2? It must have been ghosts. It must have been 2 ghosts, young ladies. Lies, deceptiveness, but he can go and do that on Ride Along Easy. It's okay. Because all the hosts sit down saying, you mean that? Yeah. Because what do you call that? Desperation. And you have to protect your turf, right? So it's fine for him to go on there and lie in plain sight. The videos was out. There were no sign of 2 young ladies walking down there, right? The gentleman was speeding. He said it himself. He came from an event and he was late for another event. He was speeding. I don't even know if he saw the young man on the bicycle. But they can't tell the truth. The truth don't agree with them. So they have to lie all the time. And in plain sight, the video is there to show, but you gone lying. I mean, I'd seen the video, but I had to replay it. I say, but I can't remember seeing the young ladies, right? There were no young ladies. So this is the same individual that got information from the Integrity Commission. Basically what he said, he chose to hit the youngster on the bike rather than his vehicle going down in the drain. And you never know what could have happened. Forget the young ladies, because there were no young ladies. We already, proved that there were no young ladies. This young man, Ron Redhead, is a narcissist, pathological liar. Now, there are 2 things here. Either Ron Redhead has lied again, this time about getting information from the Integrity Commission, or someone in the Integrity Commission has broken the oath of secrecy of the Act number 24 of 2013, Integrity in Public Life Act, in which case the Governor General should launch an investigation as to the breach of the oath of secrecy of the Act. which reads, Chairperson, member, secretary, staff of the Integrity Commission do swear that I will not, on any count or at any time, disclose any opinion, advice, or privileged information of the Integrity Commission, and that I will not accept, with the authority of an order of the Court of the Integrity Commission, and to such extent as may be required for the good management of the affairs of the Commission, directly reveal the business of the proceedings of the Integrity Commission on the nature or any document. Now, Ron Redhead's pronouncement, if true, the Governor General must take strong actions to weed out any political influence in the Commission. But records have shown that Ron Redhead is a pathological liar. There's a pattern. There's a pattern. And this guy, although fired by the Prime Minister, is still being paid. Is still being paid a minister's salary. Just like there's a pattern with Andy Williams, the member for the South. His pattern is of stealing. His pattern is of corruption, money corruption, and fraudulent practices and criminal acts. Andy Williams should have never been nominated as a candidate to participate in the general election of Grenada, the tri-island state of Grenada. Recently, as recent as last week, a company that Andy owes over $100,000 received cash over $20,000 cash in an envelope sent by the minister, Andy Williams, to be paid on account. Now, why would a minister pay on an account with $20,000 cash? First off, no paper trail, right? Now, if the minister has a bank account where he can withdraw 20 plus $1,000 cash, do a banker's check, a bank draft, right? Then we all know that monies are passing in and out throughout MIT ministry. And so the question remains, where did he get $20,000 plus cash to send to the company in an envelope? $20,000 cash. I have disclosed here on Simon Says the fraudulent and corrupt practices that takes place in the ministry of MIT. Contractors, service providers are called down to the ministry, asked to walk with their ID. They are given checks in their names to go to the bank to change. Sometimes they are accompanied from the information. It seems as though, depending on the amount, the total of the check or checks, then someone, a Miss Dawn from the Ministry of MIT, accompanies the contractor or service provider to the bank, holding on to the envelope, would give it to them once they join the line, have them change the checks. Because with this individual, he had to check $45,000. One check for 15, one check for 30,000. He was not ready to do the jobs. He's a contractor, he had private jobs, and he had relayed that to them. But they needed the cash. So they called him, knowing that he was not ready to start the job. Come down, bring your ID, come and change the check. So he changed the checks. He went, he changed the check, handed the cash back to Miss Dawn, and they went separate ways. Miss Dawn gone back down to MIT, or so I assume, and he went on his way. The gentleman, after a while, when he got a little space, he thought he would do the smaller of the two houses, so the $15,000 one. And he recommended a colleague of his to do the $30,000 project. They called down the gentleman for the $30,000 project to change another check. Remember, my gentleman there had already changed the $30,000, but they get another chance to change more money. So this check was for $26,000. Remember, the guy know that the job is $30,000, right? But that check was changed already, $26,000. The contractor in question that spoke to me one-on-one, yes. When he was ready to do the job, the $15,000 job, he did the job. And then he went to collect his payment. He received $15,000 cash from the permanent secretary, Ms. Nicole Clark, who is the first cousin of Mr. Andy Williams. Conflict of interest. I mean, corruption staring you in the face, right? And then, just to step back some, Mr. Rodney George, backed by Mr. William Joseph, on the Ride Along program, and the CTO, Mr. Blash, Kevin Blash, that they're the only ministry to give out checks and contracts, to give out checks, not contract, but checks, to pay, is the Ministry of Finance. I can tell you, Mr. Rodney George, that cash monies are being given and given out to contractors and service providers in the Ministry of MIT. And that's a fact. Now, I spoke about this already on this program. Crickets. Nothing from the government of Grenada defending, saying that could never happen. And if it's happened, it's against the law and they would investigate. Nothing from the FIU, which is a make-believe FIU. From the time the NDC came into office, they dismantled the real FIU and have a citizens FIU that you hear nothing about. Nothing from the investigative journalists and the accredited journalists out there. Nothing from no one. Everybody just stay quiet. It will not go away. It will not go away. I'm reapplying. I'm reapplying to the Integrity Commission. I will. I'll do it every Monday morning if I have to. But that's just the beginning of it. That's just the beginning. Right? So when he collected his $15,000 for cash, he was given a tip of $500. Where you ever hear that? With government monies. Government money is not your own, so you can pay and give a tip of $500, you know. And all you sit down there, nobody doing nothing about that. Even the union supposed to take up something to investigate to see what is really going on in that ministry. Somebody Meanwhile, his colleague that he gave the $30,000 job to met him along the way one day and said, I am clear another chicken. They called him down to change another check. They didn't tell him of the job, whether it was to build a house or not, but they have his name and his number. So they call him down, come with your ID to change another check. Folks, I don't know what you're going to call that. Whatever it is, we know it's wrong. We know it's illegal practices. We know it's corrupt. We know it's fraudulent. And we know it should not be happening with our taxpayers' monies. It should not be happening. So you know what is interesting? So when the three gentlemen was on Ride Along, that is Mr. Rodney George, Mr. William Joseph, and Mr. Kevin Blash, the CTO, all to cover Andy's behind. The electrical engineer, Mr. Rodney George, he claimed that it was him who prepared the road contract and mentioned that after CCCI won the bid, they negotiated a bit and they even took out a little something of the amount. Well, folks, and I said it on the program here already as well, the little something was $2 million. Now, that in itself don't sound right. It's not 2,000, it's not 200,000. $2 million. If you bid for a project and is able to take out $2 million from that project, something wrong. Something wrong. And they're the one that was talking about procedures and saying what I say is idiotic and trying to sling insults at me. Ain't work. Ain't go work. Y'all can call me what y'all want. I will stand up for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique. Me hair, me eyes, me nose, me teeth, me mouth, me lips, whatever. And when you see some of them, Jesus, I ain't going there. But it not gonna stop. So call me what all you want. These two gentlemen, it's what they didn't say. It's what names, it's what adjectives they didn't use to describe me and what I said. And I listened and I smiled and I laughed. Because that does not take away from the that Andy Williams took a bribe of $115,000. It does not take away from the fact. Right? So, the Ministry of Infrastructure gave the gentleman the job. Remember, the Prime Minister was away, and the Minister of MIT, although he said, I am the Minister of MIT, I am not the Minister of Infrastructure. Every other day, he does act as Minister of Infrastructure. Well, except for the past couple of months. Grounded. So, he was acting as Minister for Infrastructure and Prime Minister of Grenada. He had all the authority to do whatever he wanted. All that authority, he had it, right? Moving in on the contractor of CCCI, who according to the electrical engineer won the bid fairly and squarely, now has practically nothing to do on the project, whilst the Minister for Infrastructure is paying subcontractors to do the work on the same Cliff Road project. So if he won the bid fairly and squarely, there was no hanky-pank, why is it that now the Prime Minister as Minister for Infrastructure and his ministry have subcontractors on the job, on the same job, just swoop down on him and doing the work and being paid by the ministry. I guess the money they would have paid him, that's what they're paying them, because he's practically doing nothing there now. Question from Minister Andy. The best minister in the NDC, eh? All of this are telling all you about it. He's the best minister. So you know what we're dealing with. If he is the best minister in that administration, we'll crap or smoke with pipe. So Minister Andy Williams, have you made good of the companies you owing that you gave fraudulent checks to before you became Minister of Government and MP? For instance, there's a company in the South, yes, in the Great South. How could you do it though? How could you? Right? That you owe $18,000 worth of bounce check since 2021. And the company in St. David that you owe $149,000 worth of bounce checks. EC dollars, $25,000 on the 29th of the third month, 2022. $11,132.70 on the 5th of the fourth month, 2022. $7,944.30 on the 2nd of the 5th month, 2022. Another $25,000 on the 30th of the 3rd month, 2022. And another $25,000. The 2nd of the 4th month, 2022. $11,987.75. The 25th of the 5th month, 2022. Another $25,000. The 31st of the 3rd month, 2022. $5,807.50. The 18th of the 5th month, 2022. $12,601.84. The 28th of the 5th month, on the eve of the elections, practically, 2022. 9 checks, 9 bounce checks, a total of $149,000. Calling on Ron Redhead to investigate the bounce checks. You seems to be the investigator as PRO. Investigate the bounce check. Let's see what you come up with. Folks, issuing bounce check is a crime.
An 11th charge for the offense of money laundering. The matter involves the issuance of over $80,000 worth of bounced checks to a commercial bank in St. George's in September 2016. The matter was prosecuted by Crown Counsel in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, Howard Pinnock, who accepted the guilty plea for the charges and did not offer evidence on the money laundering charge. Mighty has been remanded to the Richmond Hill prison until his sentencing, which is carded for October 26th.
Young Mighty going to jail for $80,000. One customer. This guy owed $149,000. And there are others. I'll bring them to you as they come along. because people have decided now they had enough of that. So as I continue to gather the information that comes to me, these ones I ain't going and search for them, They're coming and meet me. I'll bring them to you. So there's a pattern with the member for the South, the minister of MIT. He knows he took the bribe of $150,000 in exchange for the Cliff contract given to Mr. Nelson Louison of CCI. Andy Williams, do you remember saying to the individual, the mechanic at the shop where you collect your pickup truck, when you picked it up, and I'm quoting, well, I'm back on my feet again. That wasn't so true because you were back on wheels. That was your statement. I'm sure you could remember saying it. Yeah? Gradually. I know you admit that you sold a house to Mr. Louison for $600,000. You admit. And folks, I told you guys that the house was the beginning of the whole bribery process. I told you that. So he admits, although he said nothing I said was true, he has since admitted that he sold the house to Mr. Nelson Louison for $600,000. Question to the electrical engineer, the advisor of the Ministry of Infrastructure, Mr. Rodney George. Was the True Blue Road project tendered? And because the gentleman from CCI, Mr. Louison, got that project as well. Just asking, you said the one for the Cliff Road project was tendered and your good buddy won the tendering, right? I'm paraphrasing here. Now, was the True Blue Road project tendered? And wasn't that project a two-phase project? What happened to the second phase, Mr. George? What happened to the second phase? Can you give us an update on that as advisor to the Minister and Ministry of Infrastructure? The Prime Minister complained of the work done by CCI on both projects, the Cliff Road project and the True Blue Road project, and he made demands of the company doing both projects, CCI.
Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell issued a strong warning that there will be significant consequences if the progress of work on the True Blue Road and Cliff Road in the Woburn area does not show improvement within the current month. During closing remarks at the 2025 budget debate, the Prime Minister expressed growing frustration and openly criticized the pace of work. He questioned whether the private contractor overseeing these projects had the necessary capacity to complete the jobs on time.
It started in May or June of last year. It hasn't completed as yet. It's not the government doing the work, it's a contractor. And I'm not picking a fight with the contractor, but I'm saying openly I'm disappointed with the pace of the work. But this is not a capacity, this is not an issue about money, but whether the government is paying the contractor or not. The money is there. It's an issue about the contractor's capacity. There will always be all kinds of excuses, whether it's gravel and concrete, whether it's something at the port. The fact is the pace of the work is completely unsatisfactory. The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure, the chief technical officer, the consultant, the advisor in the ministry, I've made it clear to them that the pace has to be picked up significantly this month or there will be consequences.
His ministry, Minister of Infrastructure, literally, as I said to you, has moved in on the project. Took over. Here is the Prime Minister again, speaking ill of local contractors, really.
The issue with the roads, a lot of concerns about the state of the road, asphalt and access in asphalt was a big issue. I understand that you've taken measures to try to deal with that. Can you tell me about the asphalt plant that's being put in Bushiju?
Right, so the group training by the name of Reno is setting up an asphalt plant. Because of the size of the equipment and so on associated with asphalt plants. We've entered an arrangement with them that will allow them to host it temporarily at the government sites in Bouchergie. Asphalt is in a sense, the end product of all of the things that are required to get you to the point where you need to pave the road. We have some significant strategic challenges in Grenville. We only have one quarry that's operational. That's the quarry at Mount Hackman. That quarry is operated by one entity. We have significant challenges just in terms of getting the aggregates out and by extension getting asphalt in the quantities that we need. And that's one of the major reasons for the state of the roads. Now this is a historic problem, and I think we could go and look at the reasons why it has happened. You see, historically one company has gotten all the contracts to do road construction in Grenville. One of the things that has not happened in Grenville is that people have been given road contracts to build the roads, and they don't give them contracts to maintain the roads. And the government, the former government essentially has decimated the Ministry of Infrastructure's ability to actually even do basic things like road maintenance and road repairs. Everything was outsourced in a very ad hoc and non-systematic manner. I mean, I'm saying basic things that we don't even have a pothole truck. That is why when you go on the roads, people are not cutting the roads and getting back to the foundation and then redoing the foundation and then asphalting. They're just simply patching. So I'm saying the reality is to get to the point where we can change that, it needs equipment change, it needs personnel change, it needs training change, it needs engineering change. Those things don't happen overnight. And the patching of the roads isn't something that happened yesterday. It's been, frankly, if I may say, all my life that seems to be what we do. So what we're seeking to do is to try and create more fundamental changes. We have major roads that will need major contractors to repair and maintain the roads. We have secondary roads that we believe we can build the local capacity of all people to be able to do so. In Grenville, there's only one, except CCC. There's this CCCI or CCC, whatever the acronym is, that does major road construction, and then you have Mr. Budlar's company that does secondary. After that, there's nobody else who's doing any kind of major asphalt work. So for us to be able to get to the point where we can properly repair and maintain the roads, we are going to have to bring expertise. We got to invite private contractors to come in. Reno is one of them. We are looking at others and seeking to get them to come in so that we can look at addressing the infrastructure issues. A lot of our bridges are compromised. We've got a lot of rain. A lot of the river defenses and so on are compromised. We have significant rock stabilization that we need to do. So the next 3 years is going to require a lot of money being spent on building resilience into the road networks, into the bridges networks, into the river defenses in particular, and to stabilization. So we are hoping to start on also some of the roads that are very narrow. For example, the Lance Appeal entrance to the Woodlands entrance. If we don't widen that road now and repair it, you see what people do. They build right up to the road. That's the challenge we have on the cliff to the Woodlands junction. So we're seeking to address that. The road from the cliff to at least Egmont Point also needs resurfacing. It's very rough. There are roads in St. David's, for example, that Penwater Junction all the way to Dudman. So these are secondary roads that are in pretty bad shape.
So do we have a timeline for
commencement?
For commencement?
No, we intend to, barring us getting all of the contractual arrangements and barring the contractors we need to get materials, that's a key thing. You have to be able to get the aggregates, you have to be able to get the bitumen, and you have to have the equipment. But barring all of these things, we certainly expect to be able to start some of the road repairs from the first quarter. Obviously, and I've made it clear to the contractor and to the consultant that's supervising the project that we're not happy with the pace of the work, and we expect to see significant galvanizing. And
speaking of that, I understand that a lot of the problems with the delays at the Cliff project was because stuff that had to be handled from the government end wasn't handled.
That's nonsense. The honest truth is, this is just my view, and I don't wish to get into a public spat about this. You would have had minor things like being able to, Grenville had to move some of the poles and so on. That ought not have handicapped most of the work that needed to be done. So the truth is, and I'm saying this openly, contractors in Grenville need to take themselves seriously, and they need to take government work seriously. For the last 2.5 years, for them to get government work, they need to invest in their businesses, they need to invest in their personnel, and they need to devote resources to projects when they're given, and they need to begin and complete them in a timely manner. There's only so much the government can do for them. If you're serious about the contracts that you get, you will take it seriously and you will deliver. This is not just a challenge. You see many Caribbean countries that challenge persists. But we are doing everything to try and empower contractors. They also have to take their responsibilities seriously to make sure that they can deliver and deliver work on time. Right? So when a contractor is given a road, the public can judge by themselves whether the road is being built to the standards that the public expects. And so it is important for us to make sure that we hold contractors accountable. There's been a culture of not holding them accountable.
Now, after all was said and done, CCI just signed a new contract with NAWASA, subsidiary of the government of Grenada and under the Ministry of Infrastructure. Just signed the UK SIFT water supply expansion sewage improvement project. Is it because the contractor started to whisper? If you look on your screen, don't take my word for it. There they are, signing away. Signing away. Today, we have residents and vendors of the Concord area complaining of the manner in which the project, which is about to begin, they found out that the project was going to be started. Here's a clip of one of the villagers. I think she's also a vendor of their farmer, of her appearing on the Bob Report. Compliments the Bob Report.
But we want to hear what your concerns are with respect to that project in Concord and how that may impact the tourism product up there in Concord, St. John, which is, of course, the Concord waterfall.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Well, basically, our main issue is what's going to be happening up there with the water. Mainly
Yes.
is what's going to be happening up there with the water. You see, previously, we sent you photos of how the waterfall used to be before and how it
Yes.
was after they dammed it. Yes.
Mhm.
So presently, NAWASA was engaging a major project, which they're going to be taking more water from that waterfall. We are saying we are in the tourist area. This is the only tourist belt in St. John's. There is no other tourist attraction in St. John's. So if NAWASA then comes to take more water from that waterfall, we will have no waterfall. In the dry season, we barely have water running down that river. We are trying to say to them also, you need to consult us properly. The vendors, the farmers, the community on a whole, you need to let us aware of what's going on. Okay? So that's our main issue.
So stick a pin. Before this project was announced, you're saying that you were not consulted by the National Water and Sewage Authority.
Now, we wouldn't say that. In November last year, NAWASA sent the liaison officer, Rudo, and Mr. John to let us know that the project is about to start. Yeah, they lend their concern, we lend our concern concerning the same water, which they say they will get back to us, but they have not gotten back to us concerning anything concerning the EIA or what it was done or what is the impact going to be. On that note,
stick a pin. Do you even know if did they advise you as to whether or not an EIA was done there?
Okay, concerning the EIA, they said one was done in 2022. Yeah, we only recently learned that because when the consultant and the contractor came, to say that they got the contract and it was about to start, we were asking those questions. Yeah.
Okay, so it's only after they came to you and said this project is starting that you knew of an EIA.
Yeah, we have not even gotten a look at the EIA. We have not even get result to say if that EIA still stand as we in 2025, and there is so much happening with climate change, with the decline of the water. So all of this we have in concern.
So can you talk about that project? Are they going to, is it a dam that's going to be constructed? Or is that an expansion of the current water catchment? What is it?
Yes, it will be an expansion of the water catchment, which will lessen the water to the dam, because presently they have an 18-inch line on that water, on the dam. Yeah, the overflow of that water will be too less to even have a waterfall. We are saying to NAWASA, we have no problem with you guys getting water, but could you guys merge some other place? Could you just keep taking what you all taking and do a proper storage? Because basically we will not have a waterfall. The other issue we are having is that they have not consulted the vendors. They have not consulted the farmers. They have not consulted the community to know that how that's going to impact us on our livelihood and the transportation-wise going to and from our farm.
Right.
So basically, when we heard of the contract was being signed, we reached out to the Board of Tourism. Board of Tourism authorized us to send our concern through a letter with the few names that we have up by the waterfall. But we have decided this 14 of us is not enough. So we went out to the community on Friday trying to figure out, is anybody know about this? Was this properly announced? Was this properly community communication? Yeah, 95% of the population in this area and beyond, Brooklyn, Cotton Valley, did not know about this project.
90%. So no one was aware of this.
No,
so so you only got wind of this when NAWASA notified you of their intention to start constructing after signing the contract with CCCI?
Yes, and CCCI did, the manager or whatever did come, and there was question we were asking that he was saying you have to ask NAWASA. He cannot answer that. The two main questions we were asking is our sustainability. How are we going to be sustained? What is the duration of the timing that you guys are going to be laying pipes? This is in the rainy season. We are in the belt of rain. Concord is basically underneath the Grande Tan. Yeah? So we know this, if the project was esteemed to start for 8 months, it might go beyond 8 months. But they're not giving answers. That's the problem we're having.
Now, also, other persons involved, other stakeholders had spoken to the news. So here's a report.
Vendors and small business owners at the Concord waterfall in St. John took to the streets on Monday in protest, raising placards and chanting in frustration over a planned project they say threatens their livelihoods. The project stems from a major initiative by the National Water and Sewage Authority, NAWASA, which will cut off the access road to the waterfall for the installation of 10-inch water pipes. The project, set to begin in 2 weeks, will halt vehicular traffic to the site for an entire year, something vendors say they were not formally consulted about.
If NAWASA is supposed to do this project, right, proper consultation should take place. We only had one consultation. One is not enough. It's not enough. We have questions that needs to be answered. What about our livelihood? Right? We have monthly obligations. What are we supposed to do when this project starts? As for now, we want proper communication with NAWASA. They're not coming to us.
On June, somewhere around there, NAWASA came to us, and apparently they said to us, which means they were starting a project here. They're running bigger pipes, and up to now they haven't get back in touch with us as the vendors. This is my livelihood. This is what I depend on. This is basically, I don't have anything else to. When now we out of business for 1 year, which means this is what I heard the engineer said. So they need to put things in place and let us know exact what's really going on and what's going to happen to our business.
We want to know from NAWASA what is going to happen. NAWASA, the Board of Tourism, and all the entities involved. We want to know what is going to happen to our livelihood? How are we going to survive when they said that this project is going to last at least 1 year? And we know this is the rainy season, and that project is not going to last a year. It is how my bills are going to be paid. How am I going to eat? I have things to do, and that's what I depend on.
The vendors say their concerns go beyond access. Over the years, they've observed a significant drop in the waterfall's flow and fear the installation of larger pipes will worsen the situation, potentially damaging one of Grenada's natural tourist attractions.
The waterfall is very depleted as it is in its current state. And they're going to be putting in another 10 inches pipe where presently there is an 8-inch pipe on the dam. This is going to take water from that waterfall. The waterfall is very low as it is. That's our only natural resources, and that's what we depend on to survive here. It is the waterfall that persons come to see. It is the waterfall that is advertised. It is Concord waterfall as a tourist attraction. And when more water is removed from there, that's not going to be a waterfall anymore. it will be named a waterfall, but the water flow would be very much affected. Nobody is saying what is going to happen.
According to the vendors, their attempts to get answers from NAWASA and the Ministry of Tourism have proven futile, as they've gotten the roundabout from both. They've also heard through unofficial channels that Concord Waterfall has already been removed from the upcoming tourist season's itinerary, a move that could cripple their income.
Yeah, and also next couple of months, that's coming back to November. That's coming back again, the peak of the season. So knowing we out of that business, what are we going to really do when we home? What are we going to do?
We did reach out to NAWASA, but we have not gotten any response from NAWASA. We reached out to the Ministry of Tourism. We're still waiting on a response from them as well. And what's happening is that everybody is shifting blame. Contract has already been signed. When the contract has been signed and work has started, we should have been the first set of persons that had been consulted concerning the issues that's going to happen with us up here. What's going to happen to us? Nobody's saying anything. We already heard that the Ministry of Tourism has consulted with Taxi Drivers Association and Hotel Association to let them know that this site would be off the map, or off the route, of the tour for the upcoming season. That has been done, but we have not yet been consulted as to what's going to happen to us.
Now, we would follow up on this project and what's going on. This is all to take water from Concord down to the Great South. So we'll follow up. We need to hear. We have not heard yet from the minister and NAWASA in real time. So as we get the information, bring it to you. To get back on track, really, because we segued there to speak about, as we segued from the Cliff project, just to see that the same company that the Prime Minister, as we would say in colloquial terms, running down, is the same company that got another contract with NAWASA, by extension, the government of Grenada. So we're going back to Mr. Williams now, Mr. Andy Williams. Mr. Andy Williams spent over $100 million so far. According to the estimates and actuals that was allocated to him in the budget, 2024 budget, right, into 2025, on houses, right, over $100 million, both from supplementary and the regular budget, the regular estimates of revenue and expenditure. According to Andy himself, for 2025, he already spent $40 million. Sarah.
Immediately, we targeted St. Patrick's, who got affected the worst from Beryl, Carriacou also. And I could tell you, we are approaching about 200 houses being built by Project Build Back Better. That's in Grenada. In Carriacou is over 100. Carriacou and Peter Martin together is close to 150 around there. That is being built, and that is continued to build.
What's the target number?
So we are looking at over 200 for Carriacou, and also in Grenada at a point in time. Yeah, we are in total we're looking at about close to about 300 houses in terms of that got. So we, after the hurricane, we assessed the damages from level 1 to level 4. And the level 4 meaning the worst. And when you look at the worst, it was over like 300 houses. But besides building houses, we assisted people with materials for repairs. We assisted people who've got damage and just needed a replacement in both Grenada and Carriacou. We have spent over $40 million on Build Back Better in Grenada alone.
And that is so far?
So far.
Is that number likely to increase?
Well, this year, we have done a lot this year also. When it comes to Carriacou, I could tell you Carriacou spent over $20 million, again, in just building and materials.
So he said it, you heard him. Now, the amount of houses he's saying that was in Carriacou, 150. We know that to be a lie now, because I cornered the minister for Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs in their press conference, and he had to admit not one Build Back Better house was delivered in Petit Martinique, and in Carriacou, 10. So this 150 is a lie. So we therefore know that in Grenada, the 200 is also a lie. Now, Carriacou needed the houses more than Grenada, right? So how in Carriacou is only 10 delivered? This 100 and all lies. They fling in figures out there. Wherever it's stick, it stick. Who want to believe it, right? All lies. Now, my source told me from the inside that it's 42 million he had already spent. Because you see, they're disgruntled because he is just playing with all these monies, cat watching cheese, and they're struggling to keep up in their different constituencies, struggling to stay afloat, right? 42 million was spent already. Now, the budget for 2025 for his ministry, the budget was 43,891,005, right? 43 million, and he already spent 42 million. I know, who knows? He must be already have overruns, and we have to wait and listen for the actuals, what he actually spent, because we know it's going to be over what was estimated. Although we have no idea where these houses are, my question is about labor. Because we've been hearing from time and time again that the reason why the construction projects are being slowed down is because they can't find construction labor. They've yet to import foreign labor. So who building these houses? He said at one time they built 1,000 houses already for 2024. 1,800 bathrooms. Who building these houses, and where are they? It had to be birds building these houses, because you can't find labor. You're scraping up people off the block, off the court, but yet still you built 1,000 houses. Where are they? Who's supposed to believe that? Are you guys serious? Are there people out there actually believing that? Huh? The worst part of all is that Andy Williams is being enabled by the Prime Minister and his friends in cabinet. The ones of you that grumbling behind doors and dropping hints and leaking information. Speak up and speak out when you have to. In the cabinet. Speak up. So in an effort to distract from what's going on, what's really going on with Andy Williams, it's a lot of stuff now. He's giving out scholarships from his constituency office, where we have a scholarship desk. He's giving scholarship. Who's paying for it? What's the plan? From his scholarship, from his constituency office. If you look on the screen, you see the flyer. And after his bus tour, literally bus tour, because there could be nothing else, 2 weeks ago, to show us his achievements in the South, 2 unfinished roads, 1 unfinished building Project Polaris site, the bushy area where Project Polaris supposed to be. Anyway, what's up with Project Polaris? Yeah? I hear investors asking for a new mandate. Let's see if you could win the next election. And then we'll put between, that's what you call between a rock and a hard place. Nothing to show, nothing to say to the people, this is what we did. And I mean nothing besides pension, eh? That's it. Because bi-monthly payment is not an achievement that you need to be voted back into office for. That is pension, by the way. You give pension, you give pension. People are supposed to get their pension. The court said they should get their pension. And then you tell everybody else they would be getting pension under the 1958 plan. You'd make them, you'd regularize them, and you can't do it. So that, in a sense, is a failure, right? So moving on. So the unfurnished house, the unfurnished building where you're supposed to put the medical center, Dusty Highway. Only we're trying to find out how the older people will get down to Dusty. I paid $5 or $10 extra to get down there. He said he's going to ask the Brighton and Miners people to do a footpath from the Marsh Bishop Highway to Dusty Highway, which they have to walk, right? They don't think. They don't plan. There's no structure in place, right? A fence that was shown, the fence, the Springs School was fenced, and then they end up on the fort, which has nothing to do with the South, and we know the rest. But all are distractions. So now he's having a town hall to tell us what? To tell us what? That you have 2 or 3 unfinished road projects, an unfinished building, you fence a school. But you showed us actually on the bus too. But it's just to keep him busy, to distract from the $115,000 bribe. And of course, out came the comparisons. You know, huh? Oh, look at Andy and the fall farm and the chicken farm. How about the coconut farm? How about the coconut farm? Lest we forget, in August, in fact, the 23rd of August 2023, Minister of MIT Andy Williams visited India. We have photos to show. Let me read for you a release that came with that visit. Let me get my glasses there. And it says, MIT seeks opportunities for investment partnership and funding for national development priorities. Honorable Andy Williams recently visited India to participate in the 9th CLL India LAC conclave on furthering economic partnership for shared and sustained growth. Through his participation, Minister Williams has commenced discussion on behalf of Grenada for US dollars 1 million in grant funding for factory equipment to enable the transformation of locally available raw resources into value-added products for domestic consumption and export. According to Minister Williams, a delegation from India will be visiting Grenada in September to identify areas of partnership and development, and that was September 2024, or 2023 rather. At present, Minister Williams, along with Ms. Perrin Johnson, Permanent Secretary, are in Vancouver, Canada, participating in the Global Environment Facility, GEF Assembly, to propel bold collaboration and unlock further unlock further funding opportunities for Grenada. It continued, it don't concern us right now. We're talking about the coconut farm. On that trip, according to the minister, Andy Williams, he was offered $1 million in grant funding for factory equipment to enable the transformation of locally available new resources into value-added products for domestic consumption and export. We still await the Indians who were supposed to, the team that visiting, and we want to know where that $1 million, where's that money? Where's that? And it was grant funded, right? As you look on the screen, you can see the flyer that shows and explain the type of industry Minister Andy was getting into, using the funds granted to us by the government of India. Monies we've never seen. Now it's either the monies were given to Minister Andy and it was kept by him, nothing new. There's a trend. Or it was used by the government of Grenada for another purpose. Nothing new there either. They broke is wherever they could get it from, right? The whole thing was a big lie. The whole thing. I don't know if he got the money, but the whole coconut farm thing was a lie, which we are accustomed to as well, coming from that administration. But it didn't end there. It got even better. At a town hall meeting in New York, hosted by the NDC party, Andy Williams, speaking to the audience on value added and his accomplishments in negotiating the $1 million from India, he was proud to announce that he got a call from the Indians saying to him, Andy, you now have another $1 million over the phone. Andy, you now have $2 million. Only a Popeye flute government going to do something like that. And I know the Indians ain't no Popeye flute. So that to be kukute down below the house, that somebody gonna call him when he pretending to be, you know when kukutes pretend. So he is the minister down below the house and somebody else is the Indian and they call him and they say, Andy, it's now 2 million. You only kukute down below the house. That will happen. Now let's hear him for yourself. I didn't make that up.
Let me just mention that when you go to Grenada, you see your mangoes, your golden apples, your fruits on the ground spoiling. But if you look back in the days of the great Maurice Bishop, there was a time when we had factories and we were doing our pulps and juices and so. But that was in the 80s. 40 years passed. And it's like we regress instead of progress. So one of our plan is to bring back agro-processing in Grenada. And I am not just saying it. Anyone could say anything, but you need to back it up. So when I went to India 2 months ago, I met with the Indian government and they pledged to give Grenada $1 million in equipment, any equipment we want, to start our factories. Now, we have better news. When I go back to Grenada, the delegation will be visiting Grenada, and they said, Andy, that 1 million is now 2 million. So we have a chance to really push agro-processing in Grenada. And our dream is not to have it in St. George's, because everything is centered in St. George's. But we have to start promoting the urban to rural migration. And if we can have factories in the north and in the middle of the island, what it means is that infrastructure can be improved, housing can be improved, and everyone does not have to run to St. George's for a job. But we can have the rural areas being developed, and this is what we want. Now again, we have a case right now in Grenada where the ABC Islands are looking for products to import. And they have engaged Grenada, they have engaged the Ministry of Agriculture, and we are now working with them. So now we have a chance to export our product. But why do we need factories? Because we can add value to the product and get more from it.
Now, all this happened 2 years ago. We're talking 2023, June, July, August area there. September 2023, the Indians were supposed to arrive, none of which happened. He did say anybody could say anything. He did say that. But he had stuff to back it up. What do you have to back it up? Where are the Indians? Where's the money? Show us the money. That's what we want to see. What you have to back it up. All this, forget all the talk that sound good. What? Urban to rural migration and the ABC Islands. I explained that to you already. We don't know what Grenada have to give the ABC Islands. All old talk. What we want to zero in on, where's the money? The 2 million USD. Where are the Indians that was supposed to come since September 2023? Where are the factory, the machineries for the Cupra farm, the machine factory? This is what we want to know. This is what we want to know. Where are these in? That's all we want to know. So you guys heard him for yourselves. 2 million USD. And he went on to say how crafty he is in accepting or in accessing rather these monies, the help for Grenada, Carriacou, and the Petit Martinique. We are engaging the ABC Islands, and for those of you who don't know, it's Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao Islands. What have you ever heard these names called from any one of them ever again since they've been in office? Right? Here is how he does his crafty work in getting money and what we need here in Grenada.
Hi, good afternoon. I just have a quick question. You talked about involvement from foreign countries such as India and China, and you spoke about a lot of numbers in terms of funds that they're giving us. Only one, if I'm not mistaken, is in terms of grants. So I want to know, what's the catch? What are we giving these countries in return for all of this capital that they're giving us? Because we don't want Nigeria, we don't want things where we're selling off our island in order to build it up. I think that holding the integrity of what Grenada is and who Grenada is really important to me as a child of Grenadians and someone who values her Grenadian heritage. So what's the catch? Like, what are we giving these foreign nations in exchange for all of this money that they're giving us?
Now, Lord, you can go down one, Junior? Oh, okay. So, I can tell you about India. St. Vincent already got the grant from India. Suriname already got the grant from India. Now, when I travel, when I leave here, I'm going to South Korea. In about 10 minutes, I'll have to leave to go. Now, when I travel, I don't travel empty-handed. I travel with some concepts and some concepts of what we will need in Grenada. So when the meetings are finished, I will sit down with the Minister of Trade and say, hey, we will need XYZ in Grenada. What can you give, if possible? And there are grant funding outside. The UK give us grant to fix our infrastructure and to fix the road system. Grant we don't have to pay back. China give us a grant for housing that we don't have to pay back. As far as I know, there is no catch. The grants are available or were available in India just to access, and no one in Grenada was doing it. But I saw it and I accessed it, right? So to say that what we have to give back, as far as I know, there's nothing we have to give back. And also, you have a lot of grants outside, especially in the area of climate change. Because what happens is that the developed world, they do all the polluting and so to cause the climate change. But we are the one in the Caribbean and so that face the lasting or get the lasting effects of it. And there's a lot of grants in climate change. But you have to focus, you have to know where they are, and you have to get them to improve your country. If you go to take a loan for everything, you will be in debt till you can pay. And I think that was happening to some of the African countries. They took loans over what they could pay. And that's a strategy that was done in order to keep them at a certain level.
Hey, we need XYZ in Grenada. What can you give if possible? That's a strategy, eh? That's a strategy he uses. No wonder why we ain't get it, if that's the strategy. But again, I want to ask the question because he said he accessed the funds. Where is that $2 million US, right? He said the grants was available in India. He saw it and he accessed it. So where is it? Where is it? Where are the Indians? It's a trend. It's a pattern. He also said that the coconut tree, and as a matter of fact, in answer to me on Facebook, when he spoke about it, and I said, well, what I knew was coconut take more or less 15 years to bear. And so when I was told then that, no, in 4 years, you can get coconut, I accept. I don't know. That's, I guess, what you call evolving. Coconut has evolved, right? So, all right. And he said to me, Jennifer Simon, we have already ordered 5,000 plants from Mexico and Brazil, which takes 4 years to bear fruit. With the Ministry of Implementation involved, we will surely increase the number. It's a great time to be a farmer. 3 years we head into. Not a coconut plant reach here yet. If they're bearing in 4 years, they're going to bear somewhere probably in the ocean before they get to Grenada. Not one coconut tree, he said, coconut tree. He said they ordered 5,000 from Brazil and Mexico. All lies. He's the same one that's supposed to give us the flyovers and all sorts of things in the south. That would have been a good thing to have to show on the bus too. Not one flyover. He didn't even show them out the house. You build all these houses. 1,000 houses you build already. It didn't have none in the south that you could have shown. And that's the best minister. Eh? That's the best minister that we have. Yeah, the best minister. Right? So we are with the coconut trees, the 5,000. We are with the Cooper factory. Yeah? We are with the Indians. And we are with the $2 million US. Right? So I'll give you a little bonus of our best minister. And he's really good at implementing and strategizing and so. Here's what he had to say about Project 500.
And also, I spoke about the Chinese housing at the beginning, but we want to do some Grenadian style housing in the future. I'm going to say in the future, I mean starting next year. So we have a project called Project 500, and that project is being led by the Honorable Minister of Social Development, Philip Telesford. We have already identified lands in Beauchejou and other places. And the next step is to get developers to come, get local contractors to come, get the banks involved. And we're going to do a project called Project 500 where we are going to build 500 Grenadian-style housing. And when we do that, we are not going to stop there. We are not going to stop there. We are going to continue and next 500, and next 500, and next 500 until we solve the housing situation in Grenada.
No, Project 500 been branded about since 2023. The Prime Minister's Minister of Finance, during his budget, in the 2023 budget, in November of 2022, allocated $2.5 million towards the first 500 houses in Stony Gut, St. John. Stony Gut didn't see a brick yet. They went around. Now it turned, we all know, prefab houses up in Dunfermline. If you look on your screen, you will see where that project is. It turned Project 17. Not one of these 500 houses finished. That's 3 years ago, people. 3 years ago. And by the way, according to both him on Beyond the Headlines and the PRO on the Bob report, said that Project 500 is one of their pillars. There are 4 pillars to keep up that party, that administration. It make a difference. Party administration for NDC is the same thing. One of the pillars is Project 500. Well, that's it. The next one is Project Polaris. Waiting in the wings. We're not going to see that anytime soon. The other one is what they call it, technical and vocational education, right? We know that they've only they're talking that so far. Nothing has happened, nothing has changed in the schools. And the other one, I think it was energy. Well, we're waiting on the technical working group to hear where we are with that, right? So they have nothing to stand on. They're flat on their butts on the ground, no legs. If those are their pillars, you look at the Project 500. He said Project 500 was supposed to give everybody in Grenada a home. 3 years, you can't produce not one Project 500 house. And it's not brick and mortar. It's prefab. And you can't produce not one. Not one. And then he talked about the derelict vehicle that his ministry was spearheading. They pick up 2, 3, 4, 5 houses around the island, and it's done. They clean up the lagoon. They do, well, not they clean up the lagoon. Captain Nicholson clean up the lagoon. Look at the state they have Superman. Well, Superman, he can't even bother because they give him a little shack with no electricity, no water, right? No bathroom facilities, and it just had to close down. Put the man out of business, right? So let's hear about the derelict vehicle.
Also, Grenada is a beautiful place. Beautiful. Sometimes we travel to the Bahamas and so on, we see all Miami and we see all the beautiful palm trees and so everything nice. And when you come back to Grenada, we have beauty and we are not making use of it. So my ministry have a project called the Visible Transformation Project. And that project is where we look to beautify Grenada. When you go to Grenada, you will see all old vehicles by the side of the road. Sometimes a fire truck want to come out of fire, no space to pass because vehicles are just blocking up the space. We have started collecting the derelict vehicles already. We have started collecting derelict boats. We are in a process right now of cleaning up the water because sometimes you have yachties come into Grenada and settle outside and dump all the waste in the water, destroying our coral reef. We have already started to beautify the Wall Street area. We have already started to beautify the Lagoon Road. And as I speak right now, we have a crew in St. George's that are beautifying the St. George's area.
None of the above. The Lagoon Road was cleaned up. It's almost back to where it was, but he had nothing to do with the cleaning up of the Lagoon Road, right? Wall Street is still in a mess. The town of St. George is still in a mess. He planted 2 flowers on Wall Street and painted black and white, that's it, right? So none of the above. And the derelict vehicles, folks, if you come, you'd see them right there by the side of the road. They're still there. 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Now, this one is very important because we're heading into the hurricane season, and it's to control the flooding in Grenville, which he and his party did a survey and a study, actually, and they got pumps to deal with it.
Good afternoon, beautiful people of Grenada, Carrico, and Petite Martinique. I do not have a question, I have a concern. Everything sounds nice. I want to know about Grenville. Grenville is like a shanty town. My concern is what has been done for Grenville in terms of beautification. That's it. Thank you.
So, So for Grenville, the same things apply with the derelict vehicles. The cleanup, we have done a cleanup in Grenville already, and we are still continuing to deal with the derelict vehicles in Grenville. The 4 MPs for Grenville, or the 4 caretakers for Grenville, well, St. Andrews, sorry, right. They have a plan. Part of the plan will be to take back some of the lands and to backfill and to put some areas for recreation in Grenville. But we also have a bigger problem in Grenville, and we have done a study because every time rain falls, Grenville flood. It was said the problem was fixed, but it only became worse, right? So part of the problem will be, part of the solution will be to install pumps certain places so that the water can be pumped out and not just stay and flood the area.
So the problem is fixed now with the pumps in place, I guess, and the pump on the water. But I find he's selling himself short because we have a flooding issue in the south, in the Great South, in the hotel belt. And install a couple pumps now. That piece of road, you just build a nice concrete road with no drainage. As soon as a drizzle comes, it floods. We can do with a pump there. And we're going to have to have several pumps along both sides of the Monroe stretch because rain starts to fall and it's already flooded. So start putting pumps, and not joke pumps. You need this. You need a lot of pumps. It's pay as you go, folks. You just talk. You just say anything. You ask him a question, and he's good at that. I must admit, he's a good kukute partner. Imagination. He has great imagination. He's a good kukute partner. So, just answer and say anything. Sometimes I wonder what those people that were sitting in that town hall, what they're saying, because none of what he said there has been implemented or came to fruition or materialized. Nothing he said in that program, in that town hall. But let's wrap up. Let's hear what he said in his wrap up.
Now, some will give you the idea and play politics. Like in Grenada, is doom and gloom. And you can't blame them, that's probably their duty. And when I say their duty, they are getting paid. You have the opposition party who are paying people to paint a negative stain on Grenada. And that is sad. When you hear a former prime minister coming and doubting the RGP of the Royal Grenada Police Force, who in the region is rated top, this is sad, and it shows you desperation. But I tell you people, rest assured that Grenada is in good hands. Our Prime Minister is one of the smartest individuals I've ever met. Cool, calm, and collective. He has a plan, he has a vision. And our job in Cabinet is to support him so that we can reach the level that Grenada needs to reach. So I just want to say, hold on tight. We need your support in the diaspora. and we need every Grenadian support. I tell people every day, the time for foreplay in politics is over. Grenada belongs to all of us, and we have to join in to help build our country.
He claimed that it's all politics and they ain't playing politics, but he's a politician, right? Minister, please explain. The time for politics is over. I don't understand. You know what? In fact, never mind. I don't think you know what you're saying there either. Folks, this Andy Williams character needs to be investigated. The government needs to stand him down while the investigation is going on. Simon Says is calling on the Governor General to appoint a commission of inquiry in the same way it was done in the case of the briefcase with it was an article written by an unknown in Switzerland, right? The Andy Williams case. All parties are here in Grenada. Stop the guessing. Stop the covering up or the trying to cover up. Call commission of inquiries and let's get this thing over and done with. I know Andy took a bribe. Andy knows he took a bribe. $415,000. The other party knows he gave Andy a bribe. We all know. So let's just get it over and done with. In an open letter to the Governor General, civil society urged the Governor General, Her Excellency Head of State, to take decisive action. We already know that the Prime Minister thinks it's okay for what it says, they're not perfect. They're not perfect. So it's okay for somebody to be a little corrupt, I guess, and commit a crime and stuff. That's okay. In this clip, here he is.
Would things like that worry you in terms of the optics politically? I mean,
no, I think
we are transparent.
You know, there are a bunch of people now with too much time on their hands trying to get their job back because of corruption issues.
We are as transparent a government, I think, as Grenada has seen in my lifetime, for sure. And I think if any issues arises and there's credible evidence of stuff, as a Prime Minister, I'm prepared to deal with it. But what I will not...
Did you look into the lotto matter, though?
Yes, I looked into it.
Because I looked into it, and there seemed to have been a bit of credibility to some of the issues.
I looked into the issue, and I just said to you, which is why I talked about how you handle conflicts in terms of what the legislation says and what has to happen, right? So I'm saying when people just simply make spurious allegations and come up with all kinds of fanciful stuff, you have to be careful that you don't allow people to draw you in and to make decisions as if you are Jesus Christ and he who is the third sin cast the first stone. I'm saying the very nature of our laws recognize that you'll have situations where someone who serves on a board may have their firm or their business and so on bidding for work that a particular entity is offering. And there's a process and procedure that has to be followed. So I'm saying if someone makes, and you're saying, do I look into the lotto thing simply because I'm hearing media allegations? If someone makes a credible accusation, we will obviously investigate it and then we make necessary decisions that has to be made. But too often, and I think the National Democratic Congress government in the past was allowed itself to be hoodwinked into trying to go after its own and into trying to punish its own and to hold itself at that standard that's almost impossible. When other people are doing all kind of things left, right, and center and getting away with it. So I'm saying we are living in a society where nobody's perfect. And we have to be careful that we don't try and hold people in public office to a perfect standard and then try to hold them at that.
Folks, you've heard him. He's not prepared to even try and investigate and find out what his members are doing. He's not interested in that. These guys are not interested in the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. All this slogan about putting people first is a farce. It's a hoax. It's all about them and their pockets. It's all about them and their friends and family that surrounds them and their pockets. They're not putting which people they put in first, right? Lately on DM the PM, those of us who are seeking the interests of the people to uncover the corruption, we were called naysayers and enemies of progress by the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell.
Going to relent, and I think it's important for the citizens to continue supporting the government, continue supporting the MPs, now more than ever. The naysayers, the enemies of progress, will come up with all kinds of distractions to make us look away, to pull persons down, personal attacks, allegations of this, allegations of that. But at the end of the day, I think Grenadians can judge for themselves whether people care about them, whether they're hardworking and respectful and humble, and whether they mean the best for them. We may not always get it right, but I think, as I said, we are not afraid of criticism. That's why we subject ourselves to the citizens in the town halls, in the village meetings, in the community meetings, by walking the streets, by going on the block, by doing a program like this. I could be wrong. I don't know that there's any Prime Minister who submits himself to the calls. They may have a radio program where they may oftentimes be given information, but I'm here as much as I can every week to answer your questions, to answer your calls, and where necessary to take action and to follow up. So thank you for the opportunity to serve.
You are so correct, sir. At the end of the day, Grenadians will judge you all for themselves. The allegations are not of this and that. It's about corruption within your cabinet, within your government, allegations of fraud, allegations of bribery. And yes, the Grenadians will judge for themselves. They have already started.
So what we have done is that we have looked at the just a brief. In Grenada, a lot of information things are now done on the internet,
Yes.
on social media, online. So over the last 3 years, 2.5 years, the social media influence has been very, very important. At any one point in time, there are over 100,000 people online. So in order for you to reach people, you must be able to have an online presence. What we're seeing, for example, that obviously the Prime Minister, through his resources and the social network, has been dominating the social media. He has been having we have a bot on him, so we see all what is done, and it is very professional, very organized, very well done. Okay, what we have seen over the last so his ratings have generally been over 70%.
Right now, well, go ahead. Yes, I'm actually
over the last
data while you speak
months, since April, we see that has dropped around 4% to 67%. However, we're seeing that the NNP, especially with Minister Emlyn Pierre, there is a resurgence of activities on social media, and this shows that there is something that is going on either with the NNP or within the social media landscape. Mm-hmm. So we are encouraging persons, especially within the NDC, that more persons should be on the internet, more persons should be engaged. And what we are seeing...
Well, the Minister of Transformation is very engaged. There isn't one day when he doesn't post on social media outside of Prime Minister Mitchell. So how is he not factored into your data, Dr. Pay?
The Minister of Transport, yes. Well, yes.
Andy Williams, is he not factored?
Yes, he is also good. So the Prime Minister is very is very influential. Andy Williams is also very influential. Honorable Ron Redhead is very influential. So these are the three persons who are the most presence online.
Uh-huh. And the others don't have that big presence.
Yes, and this is a disadvantage to the NDC because there is a lack of centralized knowledge, centralized command. It seems as though ministers are left to engage for themselves, and this should not be so. It should have a coordinated effort for social media presence within the NDC organization, because remember that this is not the presidency. Okay, there's 15 constituencies. If the NDC wins St. David's, South St. George, Northwest, I mean, these are the strongest NDC seats.
Northwest, which Northwest? You mean St. Andrew
Northeast,
Northwest?
sorry. St. George's
Northeast.
Northeast.
Okay, I was about to say.
Mr. Honorable Redhead facility. So these are the more or less the strongest NDC, the NDC stronghold. All the others now are too close to call, especially in St. Patrick's. A lot of activities will take place in St. Patrick's. There is a battleground on the internet, on social media. Those who collect data and watch the data from Meta and all these, there is a lot of information. So what we do, we measure what is called like ratio, share ratio, all of the algorithms. It is measured and monitored and data mined. And we're asking the NDC and all the other organizations to place specific emphasis on that. And then the other challenge we see is that in the constituency of St. David's, there is a new political person that her methodology has been a little different to that of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has his methodology has been more or less Gary.
And you're referencing Miss Nolene Thompson, who is the new caretaker, caretaker for that area. Yes.
If you look at sometimes what the data is showing, that her methodology is a little different to that of the Prime Minister. However, but her presence is steadily growing. And this is something that the NDC should look at.
Her influence. Let us talk about that methodology. Can you unpack what you reference in respect of her methodology?
Right. Well, I mean, I really want to,
Well, why, Dr. Pear? Why would you not want to do that? As I've asked you in the past, were you hired by the NNP to observe political activities in St. David's?
But
I know you posters tend to be coy, but go ahead, sir.
Because we are statisticians, we are blind, and we've realized that every political party in power sees us as enemy, as aligning with the opposition. But I'm not. I mean, as I said, anyone can call me. It's not. We're not doing this for money. Anyone can call me, and I can provide information. Okay. So let's say, for example, we have done many of these things. What we have over the NDC or the NNP is that we have, a lot of data on the voting population. So let's look at the methodology. What Miss Nolene, her methodology is more qualitative. More qualitative. The Prime Minister methodology, as I said, is like Gary, meet the people too. You speak to the person for a minute. You have the camera, etc. And that and there's a little difference in that. I mean, I would not go into everything because I don't want to publicize.
I do not want to implicate you, sir.
The Prime Minister has to be careful. Okay, has to be careful. The Prime Minister, so there, and St. David's is becoming a battleground, which I find is very interesting. Okay, that this young lady, all from Norway, just steadily gaining traction in a seat, 1 year ago was considered safe for the Prime Minister, and this is what what we have seen. So we have seen.
Meet the people talk. I think that is an insult. Anyway, you see, Prime Minister, sir, you will be judged for firing Minister Jonathan Lecret for bringing to light the corruption he spoke of the corruption Simon Says spoke of that was taking place in the National Lottery Authority. The culprit, your friend, your nation builder colleague, Mr. William Batiste, the chairman of the board of directors, and his lover, Miss Cindy Henry, the managing director of the authority. You fired Minister Lacrette and kept the corrupt gentleman, and in fact renewed his contract as chairman of the board. And today you are talking about allegations of this and allegations of that. Though I have been asking you, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, months ago, what are your findings? What are the results of the investigation you said to Minister Lacrette that you will do on your own? The results that caused him to fire Mr. William Batiste on the spot. You made him rescind the letter. You had him take back the letter from Mr. William Batiste and rehired him. And you fired Minister Lacrette and kept the culprit. It is clear there will be no findings forthcoming from you. In fact, you heard, Prime Minister, in a sit-down with Callistra Faria, that accusations of the former minister responsible for the NLA was not credible, and therefore he will not be hoodwinked into firing, his friend and nation builder colleague. Let me remind you that the then Minister Jonathan Lacrette, on assuming his position as Minister for Youth and Sports in January of 2024, after a reshuffle of the cabinet, where the then Minister Ron Redhead was fired, on his investigation and on Minister Jonathan Lacrette's investigation, found the accusations to be true and factual, presented Mr. William Batiste, chairman of the board, with a dismissal letter with immediate effect. Mr. William Batiste ran to Papa for cover, and Minister Lacrette was made to resign, and Mr. William Batiste remained on the job. This is what the Prime Minister had to say when speaking about conflict of interest, where Mr. William Batiste, as chairman of the board, and his girlfriend being managing director, and I might add, the only two signatories to checks from the National Lottery Authority.
Well, first, let's talk a little bit about conflict of interest. There's been a lot of concern. You hear people talking a lot, and not just the people who are trying to get your job and have too much time on their hands, but there's concern about conflict of interest, people being involved with the government and the party, but still being involved in certain activities and businesses that are paid for by the state. That people feel whether it's improper or not, but there's still that specter of impropriety. The opposition would call it corruption in some cases.
The opposition talks about corruption?
Well, I hope my cameraman is getting your face. This is priceless. I know. But the opposition would say at worst is corruption, at best is conflict of interest. Whether or not there is that situation, does it worry you at all that there's concerns? Are you hearing about these things, or what I'm saying here to you is just?
Well, it's new stuff. It's news to me.
So unless there are very specific examples that we need to address, I can do so. But I will say this because I think in a small society, you always have to manage conflict of interest. Conflict of interest will always arise. And that's why whether it's in corporations or even in the public sector, you have to be able to see how do you treat with conflicts of interest. And I'll take a simple example. If you read a lot of our statutory bodies and the legislation that establishes them, you would see, in fact, they address conflict of interest. So, for example, most of the people who serve on statutory bodies in Grenville are volunteering their time. They get paid $300 and $500. They're essentially serving the public because we asked them to help. And you recall in our case, we actually made a call for all kinds of Grenadians to step up and help serve. So, for example, if I have my private business, let's say I'm an accountant, and you ask me to serve on a statutory body, and I'm essentially volunteering my time. And that statutory body puts certain expression of interest for accountants because they need someone to audit their books or someone to provide accounting services, for example. Now, you may say, because I'm a director of the statutory body, that my firm should not bid. But it's a small place. The number of businesses are limited. And my firm, I may be one of the partners in the firm, and the firm may bid. The legislation actually contemplates that. So it says that as a director, if the board then has to decide who to award this contract when you have 4 or 5 competing firms, you, the director, need to declare your interests in the fact that your firm has made a bid to provide accounting services. You need to declare your interests, and oftentimes you need to recuse yourself from any decision making that the board may make. Because it recognizes that you will end up in a situation where you either will never get private sector people who are offering services of various kinds to so on statutory bodies, because they will say, I have a decision to make. Do I help serve the public by providing my own time, my own skill set, my own expertise, or do I only serve my business and stay in the private sector, make bids to get work and make money? So most of these statutory bodies actually recognize that. It tells you that in those circumstances, you should declare your interest and you should recuse yourself.
What we're talking about here is when the chairman of the board of directors is sleeping with the director, the managing director of the company, and there are the signatories on the account. They're the two signing, and that they're signing checks. Checks are being signed over and over and over to the Mr. William Batiste, 200,000, 68,000. Viewers, friends, families of Simon Says, you be the judge. Months ago, here on Simon Says, we broke the news of the corruption and the blatant abuse of the resources of the National Lottery Authority, the NLA, by the chairman of the board, Mr. William Batiste, and his lady friend, lover, Miss Cindy Henry, the CEO of the authority or managing director, and the friends and associates of the NDC administration, headed by Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. From the very beginning, as soon as Mr. William was made chairman of the board of directors of Gravel and Concrete, he was chairman of the board of the NLA and a director on the board of Gravel and Concrete. He produced 2 invoices to both entities, invoices over $200,000 for new furniture for both the National Lottery Authority and the Gravel and Concrete. And they were both honored. The man don't sell furniture. Until then, I guess, right? Shortly after that, he was removed from the board of Gravel and Concrete, but he remained the chairman of the NLA. So he remained the chairman, and all hell broke loose. As chairman, he and Miss Cindy Henry, as general manager, a clear conflict of interest, his girlfriend, his lover, are the only 2 signatories, and I'm saying it again, on the check of the Lottery Authority. And so it's mass, right? Checks of 200,000, 68,000, 200,000, and more was honored, signed, sealed, and delivered to Mr. William Batiste in his name and in his company's name, Catwell Stationery, a company that went bankrupt years ago, died and buried, was resurrected on the 24th of June 2022, and is the only supplier to the Lottery Authority. Whatever the Lottery Authority needs, Mr. William Batiste will source. Mr. Batiste and his lover Cindy Henry, the managing director, signed off on a contract for $275,000 to renovate the Victoria Park in Grenville, St. Andrew, without the knowledge of the ministers of infrastructure and the ministers of sports in both ministries, respectively. The Ministry of Infrastructure and the Ministry of Sports. That is the Prime Minister, Mr. Deacon Mitchell, and Ron Redhead at the time before he was fired. Now, embezzlement is the same as thief. When a poor man thief a coconut, when a poor man take a coconut that doesn't belong to him, he stole it, he's a thief. But when a technocrat, an aristocrat, take monies that doesn't belong to them, it's embezzlement, right? Now, if that wasn't enough, Mr. William Batiste, chairman of his lover, manager Cindy Henry, signed off on a $295,000 check of overruns. $20,000 more in overruns than the original amount for the renovations. It is alleged that the Prime Minister got wind of the fraudulent practices of his friend in the open, I might quickly add, and instead of removing him, asked him to stop writing checks to himself and his company. But did he stop? No, it didn't. To stop this, both Cindy Henry and William Batiste must be removed from the Lottery Authority. A check for $200,000 was written to Mr. William Batiste, signed by him and his lover, to open a skills training center on Scott Street, St. George's. The question is, to whom does the skill training center belong? The Lottery Authority, the government and people of Grenada, or Mr. William Batiste? As I understand it, the Lottery Authority board meetings are now held at this so-called training center where no training takes place. Rent is being paid for that space. The training center, however, is not functional. So what happened to the $200,000 check? And the checks continue to be written and signed by the couple to Mr. William Batiste. A facilitator is being paid for the training school where no training takes place. Gym fees are paid for Mr. Batiste and his deputy chair, Ms. Gail Purcell, out of the lotto funds. I believe this is a good time to present to you the other members of the board of directors of the National Lottery Authority, because aiding and abetting has to be called out. Chairman William Batiste, Deputy Chairperson Gail Purcell, other directors, Sylvester Quallis. I'm not sure who's replacing him now because he's supposed to be sitting in Ottawa, probably in a wheelchair or a rocking chair, spending our monies. Geriatrics at its best to start, more or less, you can say, a new mission. For years, we had no mission there, right? Afi Ventu, who's legal, the legal representative on the board, Karim Richards, Cecil Grenage, and George Filbert. Now, the last two names, they were only recently added to the Gazette. They were all along were members of the board and not gazetted, right? Board meetings held at the Skill Training Center. In fact, in my mind, as I said, that is referred to aiding and abetting. On Friday, the 18th October 2024, manager Cindy Henry and Mr. Chairman, Mr. William Baptiste, left Grenada for France to attend a one-day meeting. No one connected to the National Lottery Authority knows or knew of the meeting and what it was about. But they spent 2 weeks in France. The return flight was Friday, November the 1st, a 2 weeks honeymoon, so to speak. All expenses paid by the NLA. $18,000 per person, a total of $36,000 from the NLA coffers. About 2 weeks before the France trip, they both went to the USA to another meeting. Their second such for the year 2024 in the USA. $40,000 each trip. Right around then, in October, an invoice in excess of $100,000 came from Catwills for stationery to the NLA. According to Catwills, monies owing for stationery. Lest we forget, the chairman, Mr. William Baptiste, is the owner of Catwills Stationery. Excive company owned by Mr. Orlando Romaine is on a monthly retainer at the NLA, $17,825 per month. Work or no work. And I'm quoting here from a worker of the NLA, to do absolutely nothing in some cases. The reason why I say so, and I'm quoting, is because his work is always left to be salvaged by employees. I saved the best for last. The chairman, Mr. William Baptiste, and the manager, Ms. Cindy Henry, went against the wishes of the Minister for Sports and purchased a building, a commercial building on Melville Street in St. George's, opposite the bus terminal. A commercial building. The staff was told the company bought the building and that the office of the NLA on the Carnage will be relocating there in the first quarter of 2024. To date, they are still on the Carnage. We are now in the first quarter of we're heading into the second quarter. We're in the second quarter, actually, of 2025. Now, after Ron Redhead was fired and Senator Jonathan Lacrette was shuffled into the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and hearing of the corruption taking place at the NLA, he decided to do some investigation on his own. And the staff was happy to help open up the books wide because they were tired of the corruption and the fraudulent taking place. They were sick of it, as one mentioned to me. And then it's when he found out about the commercial building bought by the NLA with tenants, but no records of rent being paid to the NLA. Further investigation showed, or uncovered rather, that the tenants were paying rent and that a gentleman was collecting the rent. The tenants had receipts to show. Only the rent was not going to the NLA, who, by the way, was paying or is still paying mortgage on that building, right? They're paying the mortgage, rent are being collected, and they're not receiving the rent. The rent was picked up by a particular gentleman who we know very well and who used to be closely connected to the NDC and as chairman of the St. Andrew Southwest constituency for a long period. Worked along with Qualis in 2008 and 2013 elections. He collects the rent and allegedly delivers it to a law firm in Grenville, St. Andrew. The allegations, the law firm in question, should I say, owned by our Chief of Staff, Mr. Teddy St. Louis. Simon Says is calling on the appointed Chief of Staff of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell to come forward and answer to allegations that the NLA rent monies was being collected and delivered to his law firm in St. Andrew. We need to know it's allegations, yes or no, but we ask that you come forward and tell the nation. Now, if you look on the screen at the boys that are toasting, tipping glasses, the Prime Minister is there with his friends, his Chief of Staff, Mr. Teddy St. Louis, and Mr. William Batiste, toasting and celebrating the win of the NDC in the 2022 election. The staff of the NLA complains of the General Manager, Ms. Cindy Henry, corrupt practices, her bullying and dictatorship behavior. They claim she is unprofessional and very antagonistic. Office managers has no autonomy and is not empowered to make decisions. Everything must be directed to and flow through Cindy Henry and, of course, Mr. William Batiste. The workers expressed how baffled and saddened they were at the decision taken by the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, to fire Senator Lacrette, when, in their minds, he did what was right by calling out the wrongdoings and the corruption and speaking out against the corruption inside the NLA. The workers are calling on the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, who professed to be the advocate for the people of Grenada, with workers in his DNA. Please advocate on behalf of the workers of the NLA. Folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of Simon Says. It's always a pleasure conversing with you, keeping them honest. Thank you for joining me, or joining Simon Says, for yet another episode of Simon Says. See you next week, same time, same place. Bye now. Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.